How are you? Oh, by the way,
Okay,
hi.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Hi,
How are you?
nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Tori. How's it going?
It's good. It's been a busy week already, and it's like still before noon on Tuesday.
Oh my gosh, I so feel that. Um, it's my last week of summer camp with the kids, so it's like I go there every morning, check in, and then have the rest of the day to like do a bunch of other stuff. You know I own a summer camp, right?
hmm Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's cool. Like, is it? I'm sure it takes a lot of work to run during the summer.
It's gonna take it takes a lot of work year round. Like as soon as the kids are done, I'm gonna pack up this week and go on vacation, and then as soon as I get back, I'm gonna start meeting again to plan next year. So it's a thing.
Well, at least you get a vacation. That's awesome.
Yes, yes, I'm really excited. We're going to Seattle. Okay, so you ready to start our interview?
Yeah, where are you going?
Seattle. We're gonna go
Oh,
camp at
awesome.
Olympic National Park. Have you ever been there?
No,
Yeah, it should be fun.
but cool.
Yeah. So I've got all my questions written down here so I can not forget anything.
Okay.
So the first one is just how we met. And we met at the Ghost Ranch retreat in Santa Fe.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Ghost Ranch was amazing.
Yes, and you were the person who picked me up at the airport.
I was, and we got stuck in a line for the rental car for like forever,
Yeah, I want to say it was like two
forever.
hours.
But that just, it was really, there was only two people in front of us. But
Yeah.
yeah, at least that gave us a chance to talk about vegan food and art stuff and a lot of random things. So
Yeah.
bright side.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really amazing trip. Have your art projects still been resonating with you? Like, have you?
Yeah, definitely. I haven't,
Go ahead.
I lost you. I haven't had a chance to, I haven't had a chance to frame my mandala yet, although I pulled it out the other day and it was still like glowing with energy. So I really need to get that done.
Yeah. Well, let me turn it off. My phone is dinging. I'm gonna turn that off so it doesn't interrupt me. Um, yeah, I've still been reflecting
Good
on my
idea.
mandala too. Actually, I want to get it framed as well. Um, so yeah, I was intrigued with
Hmm.
you. I when I met you, I didn't like even realize until after the trip like all the things you do. Like you told me about Art Bento Box and your projects, but I think it didn't sink in until I followed you on Instagram and started seeing all the things coming through. I was like, wow, Tori does a lot. Like really, a lot.
I get that a lot. Yeah, I definitely keep busy. Art Bento Box is a lot of fun because, I only do like a limited set. So I do 60 every quarter.
Okay.
And then I can really like personally touch each box and like pick the supplies and test things. And it's really personal, but it's a lot of fun because it's engaging people who are new to art, who have been doing art for a while, kind of across the gamut. And it's a new way to get different supplies and work with things in a different way. And I think the thing that I do that I haven't seen in any other subscription box is put a video out there for how do you use the supplies in the box. So that it gets people who maybe haven't used acrylic ink, like how do I even start? Like what do I use this for? What does it do? And then I give a little explanation, and it kind of becomes almost like a project. And then there's tons of supplies left over to do whatever you want with it.
Do you put your tutorials on YouTube or how do you do that?
I have them on YouTube, and I also have them on the other place people put videos that I can't think of right now. Why am I
Vimeo.
right? Yes, thank you. Vimeo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put them on I put them on Vimeo because I like Vimeo. There's no ads and like extra stuff, but I thought because they're kind of free tutorials, even if you don't get the box, you can still use them. So I threw them over on my YouTube channel as well.
Okay, that's cool. Um, I'll link. for everybody your YouTube channel, like in the bottom of the screen here. That way they
Yeah,
can
it's
find the tutorials.
thanks.
Um,
Yeah, I keep my YouTube channel, my Instagram, everything is Draw Riot. So like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all those things. I try and keep them the same. So it's Tori Wyers is my name, but Draw Riot is
I
kind of my
love it.
handle.
I love that Draw Riot, Tori. It made sense to me when I saw it in writing. Draw Riot.
It's an anagram. So before I got married, my to Chris, my husband, my last name was Ward. So it's an
Ah,
anagram. Tori Ward is Draw Riot. But then
okay.
then it got messed up because I have a new last name.
Okay, now that makes
But that's okay.
sense. That was also a trick I learned is putting the same like handle on every single social media so everybody can find you.
Hmm.
Because before that I was like decadently dorky in one place and Heidi in another. And okay, so
Hmm.
can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am a creative all the time. Now I do two different jobs. I am an artist, so I teach art. I teach art online. I teach art in person. I do our Bento box, and I like run my own art business. It's actually called Creative Bento Ltd. But then I also am a creative director during the day. So I lead a team of about 22 designers, and sometimes we have temps in and out. And I manage the brand and all of the marketing materials, web, print, all that stuff for a corporate company. So I'm in the financial services industry, but creative. It's cool that I get to work with creatives all day, and I kind of bridge that creative gap between creative and business. And I think that kind of gives me an edge when I'm organizing and doing the bajillion things I do for my art business as well, to have kind of that balance of the business and the art.
Cool. Yeah, you also have some other cool big projects coming up. I don't know if you can talk about them. I can.
Yes, I have. Let's see, what can I talk about? I am, of course, putting out autumn, oh my gosh, the autumn art bento box in September. So I have all those boxes to build and shoot a video for that. And I was kind of slate that as a project. But I'm also, and this is like the first time I'm officially announcing it, like sending out my very first online class. It's going to be a course. It's going to be pretty meaty. I'm doing the theme is City and Sea. So it's going to be about three different locations. San Diego, if you've seen my Instagram, you've been like, hey, you've been places. Portland, Oregon. And then in autumn, I'm going to go to Portland, Maine.
Oh,
And I'm looking at both the city environment and the sea environment of both of those places. And they're all very different. So, and it's going to be focused on abstract work. So it's going to be kind of a process. So I'm really excited about that. It's my first one. I've done lots of other classes, like group project classes with other artists. This will be my first one I'm doing solo. So I'm stoked.
I am so excited for you. That's super cool.
I'm really like looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Um,
start. I think my goal is to release it. My birthday is August 16th, and I'm gonna release it that week and do like some giveaways. I'm gonna be putting super secret spoiler alert. I'm gonna be putting 12 kits together, six for Portland, Oregon, and six for Portland, Maine.
oh, how
And
cool.
I'm actually partnering with someone who makes watercolors, cloves, and honey. And she makes handmade watercolors, and I have specific colors that go with each location, and they will be in the boxes. I'm going to do some giveaways
Wow,
for
that's
that as
so
well. So kind of
cool.
like, yay, it's my birthday, and give stuff back.
That
I'm
is
excited.
really cool, Tori. Um, so it sounds like you're really busy. How do you manage to have time for art journaling every single day? Because you're every single day post on Instagram.
Yes. So I actually have my little book here. So there's a couple secrets. One, the tiny size of this book. So you can see it lets me definitely keep up with it. And
Uh,
then I'm doing prompts because this is the first year I'm doing like Draw Riot Daily, and you can go there and get all the prompts I'm using. And if I don't feel like using the prompts, and I put out there like they're not required, it's just a jumping off place. I just allow myself to do whatever I want to do. I set time aside every night. So after my son's in bed, I go to my studio and I put like at least an hour's worth of time in every night. So this doesn't necessarily take an hour, but working on my own work, working on other like journals and projects that I do, it kind of gives me that dedicated time. I'd love to spend more time in the studio, but sometimes I do make more time, but during the week it's a challenge. I put a lot more time in on the weekend, both on like blog posts and other art stuff, but making art, I'm always trying to carve out making art time. And I actually just finished the 100-day project, which has been going all over Instagram, and I did 100 days of abstract. So I have like all these abstracts
Wow.
that I did, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah, to keep up with like both of them, but it's so much fun, and I have like this whole stack. And I'm actually doing a solo show in February, which is going to be all abstracts inspired by my 100-day project. So
That's
it's
cool.
awesome. It kind of, you create and you make time, and it leads into other stuff.
That's exciting. Where are you doing your
Yeah.
show?
It's in Noblesville. There's like a little art community about 30 minutes north of here. And they have a great space, and it's like local other artists and kind of a group. So I'm doing it there.
That's- Wow, Tori, I'm
It's
like
called Nickel
learning
Plate. Did
so
I say that?
much.
Nickel Plate.
Nickel plate. Okay, cool. Um, yeah, so I'm always curious about people's like business journey because starting a business is really insane and hard. Um, so yeah, I'm just
hmm
curious, how many years are you into this?
Creative Bento is 2.5 years old.
Okay.
So I've been doing like my art business, like off my social security number. I think that's where a lot of people start. Like it's just your own like sole proprietorship, but making it an LLC and kind of filing all the paperwork and getting a business number really started with our bento box because I wanted to get like special supplies and products from companies, and they won't sell typically to just an individual. You need to be like an official business.
Ah.
So I am I am the CEO, and my husband is the CFO. Very small company, but basically, when you have a company, it means a lot of spreadsheets. So it's like I'm trying to do like cost basis analysis and figure out like all that stuff because you forget. I think as like a sole proprietor, you almost forget to pay yourself in a way. It's like the money comes in and you spend it on what you need, but you really need to like set aside money to actually pay yourself for the work you do, which can be challenging when you're trying to also like buy supplies and buy materials and promote yourself and marketing. So I think the
Yes.
spreadsheets, that's where they come in, and you got to start kind of like really splicing it apart.
Yeah, with Logan and I, we set like a goal for what I'm going to pay myself every pay period, and it's such a challenge to like manage
hmm
to do all the like budgeting, advertising, like all and pay myself with a like startup, and it's like so slowly growing.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Oh, how did you decide to start Art Bento Box?
I actually got really obsessed with subscription boxes probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And I was getting like an Ipsy box and for makeup and a nail polish box and like a that time of the month box.
That's awesome.
And
What's in a that time of the month
it was
box?
awesome because it's called like My Cotton Bunny, and you could like pick what supplies you want, and then there's usually like a treat, like chocolate, and like a fun little item, like a charm for your phone. It was just like
What? That's
it's
so
almost
cute.
like a little gift comes for you. Yeah, but then like we had an avalanche of products because I was getting all these subscription boxes. And the thing is, you get them all and you don't know what to do with the stuff. Now, obviously, that one you know what to do with the stuff, but like the makeup, you only need so many little lipsticks. Like, really, after you have like four, and I don't wear a lot of makeup, it's like there's too many lipsticks.
Yes.
And so I was like, you know what? I love getting stuff. Like, it's a little surprise and a present. but I don't use this stuff as much. And there was a couple of art boxes I was also getting. Art Snacks is one of them, and there was another one, but it's out of business now. And even those, I would get art supplies, and they would be duplicates of what I've already had, or I didn't really know how to incorporate them into my work in any meaningful way. So they would just sit there. And I thought, because I have a lot of art supplies, and I think a lot of artists do. So I thought, like, what's missing here? Because I love getting it, and none of the art boxes gave you any kind of paper to work with. So I think like mixed media or art journaling, you use stuff, like source material. So I thought it'd be cool to do a box where you got like handmade paper and you got ephemera. And I actually source like vintage ephemera from like vintage shops around town and flea markets. So it's like authentic, real stuff. And I'm kind of curating it all together to go with the supplies and go with the color of the season. So I thought like that more personal and not manufactured, like here's some art supplies,
Yeah.
kind of a niche that I thought would be a lot of fun and kind of engage people and get people excited about creating.
Yeah, I was so impressed you have
So
the
our bento box is cool.
yeah. I was so impressed you have the online community on Facebook too to go with it and the videos. It's called Creative and Caffeinated, right?
Creative and
Awesome. Yeah, so I just got on
yes.
there and
Yeah, I just started.
oh, that's
I saw
awesome.
that. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
So yeah, I just started Creative and Caffeinated. I was trying to figure out what also from a Facebook group, how I could differentiate myself, and I was picking a name forever. Like I just hadn't been on there, like because I've obviously been on Facebook for like ever, like everybody else. I was on MySpace, and then I was on Friendster.
Oh, I
I don't know if
remember
anybody remembers
Friendster. I
that, but that was
remember
right
Friendster.
between MySpace. So I was on there. And then I was on Facebook, like right out of the gate. And like groups started forming, but I've been just waiting forever because I wanted to make sure that like when I finally put a community together that I had like classes and focus and conversations and challenges and kind of a really engaging, supportive group. So yeah, creative and caffeinated. And it
That's
goes
cool.
with I shoot a twice a month-ish video with my husband where we talk about art supplies and new books and things creative. And it's coffee, tea, and art. So we talk about a coffee or a tea or some kind of like baked good that we've made. So it kind of goes with that as well, that we're always drinking coffee or tea or something
Oh,
caffeine
that's cute. What's your favorite
related. So
tea?
they kind of tie it together.
What's your
My
favorite?
favorite tea?
Yeah.
Oh, I usually go for a green tea. I do like chai tea because of the spiciness. Um, but there's just something like very mellow and earthy about green.
Yeah. I don't drink coffee unless I'm like going to work out so I can have a really good workout, but otherwise it makes me feel kind of like cracked out. So I'm a big tea drinker.
Yeah, tea's awesome.
Um, Gosh, there was another question I wanted to ask you about creative and caffeinated. Well, I guess I'll need the link from you to uh, the videos for you and your husband. Do you post those on YouTube?
There on YouTube, yes.
Oh
There's
my
like a
gosh.
little sub channel on my YouTube channel called
Wow.
Coffee, Tea, and Art.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool. I'll have to start following you on YouTube. You have like got this down, Tori. Okay. Next important question next to what kind of caffeine you drink is what are your favorite art supplies?
Oh, it changes. I would say right now, um, watercolor is kind of an obsession of mine because I worked with my friend Bianca for Clothes and Honey, and we kind of formulated these colors for the classes that I have coming up. And she's just doing amazing things with watercolor. She just put out a neon set, and it's like mind blowing neon watercolor, and it's like so bright and so vibrant, but it's still really translucent and transparent, like a good watercolor. Um, I really like the artisanal, like handmade watercolors. There's a lot of companies doing them. I have like all the colors from Greenleaf and Blueberry. They're in Colorado and they make really like earthy, rich ochre colors. And Daniel Smith is also fabulous because the colors that have the actual minerals in there, so an amethyst color that has real amethyst in it. And there's just something about watercolor that is almost like dreamy, and you can layer it and you can do washes, and it's just so beautiful and delicate. And especially when I'm working in mixed media, I like to add it into the mixed media as like a very delicate layer.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember you had the Daniel Smith watercolors in Santa Fe when we were painting. Um, do you think watercolors
Hmm.
are like why they seem to be like becoming popular right now? Why do you think that is? I mean, I love them too.
I think I think people are looking for something that they can have like a low threshold to jump into it. And there's so many broad ranges, like student grade watercolors. You can still get some really pretty work from those. And then when you go up higher to like artist grade and like handmade, there's something about using, I feel like, very earthy feeling materials. I think it's interesting that really the differences between a watercolor or an acrylic paint or an oil paint is really kind of the substrate it's mixed with. The pigments are all the same. Um, but watercolor just seems easy to start. And I think a lot of people see that as kind of their gateway art supply. And it's a lot of fun, like the mixing you can do and how it flows and it's organic and it just feels good. So I think people are excited about it, especially with everybody making handmade watercolors, because they're kind of getting into this world of like the customization of how do you make something personal. Like my friend Bianca has her own like iridescent set. I haven't seen a lot of
Oh, that's
those,
cool.
but that's really what speaks to her. So like her artistry can come through in the supplies she makes and the work she makes. And it's neat to kind of tap
That's
into
cool.
that personal aspect of it.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember you made some watercolors at Ghost Ranch, right? Like out of the soil and
Hmm.
stuff there. You mixed it with like
Yeah, yeah.
gum arabic.
Gum Arabic.
Yeah, have you been using those
Hmm.
watercolors?
Yeah, it was really cool. I still have them, and I have used them a little bit in some of my art journaling when I'm using more earthy tones. They were interesting because we didn't grind them, so they're a little more kind of like gouache. They're more opaque
Okay.
because traditionally, when you're making your own watercolor, you're grinding it with a pestle and on a piece of glass. So you're grinding all those little minerals down to basically a really thin, you don't have any texture anymore. But just using the dirt, we sifted it to get the finest amount of soil from Ghost Ranch, but without grinding it, it's pretty thick. And yeah, which I think is interesting. Gives it a little tooth. It's different.
Could you put it in a blender, you think?
Um, Probably you wouldn't want to do that. Well, I guess you could if you're using soil. If you're buying pigment, you probably want to keep it on a glass plate because the pigment's really expensive and the amount that you would waste without being able to get it out of the blender.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Um,
That makes
and the
sense.
pressure that you apply between the glass pestle and the glass plate really helps you grind it.
Okay. Interesting. Man, Tori, you are like seriously the biggest art supply expert I have ever met. Um, okay, let's see. What tips do you have for watercolorists or art journalers starting out? Like, what are your tips for them to be successful and be able to have a committed practice?
I would say for a committed practice, setting time aside every day, and it can literally be 5 or 10 minutes. I think that's a good place to start and try and schedule your time and do it at the same time every day. Doing a daily practice for the last 3 years, it really is about getting through that first 90 days. So a lot of people say like 60 days. For me, it was 90. And once I was through those first 90 days, it was just part of my life. And then you can make a little more time for it. So if your goal is to have a daily practice, definitely make the time, set it aside. Don't feel like you don't have enough time because it literally only has to be 5 or 10 minutes to start with. As far as watercolorists, I would say start with a basic set. You really only need primaries to start with. I think people get overwhelmed and they want to buy like all the colors and all the things. I am definitely guilty of that because I love art supplies. But I think starting, you don't want to be overwhelmed. Like if you have 16 purples, are you really going to use them all? And then you start almost this weird guilt feeling of like, I have all these, I'm not using them, I'm not making time. And so like release yourself of all of that. Get a basic like Winsor and Newton travel set. You can stick it in your bag. And just whenever you see something inspiring, a color or a texture, or you just want to like spend a few minutes like almost meditatively working, get out your book, get out your watercolor set, and just go for it. You need a water brush too, but it's so simple. I think that's one of the appeals of watercolor is it's just you can sit down and create, and even if it's just fields of color, it can be really awesome.
Yeah, that's how I got into watercolor was because I had my daughter and I used to be an acrylic painter, but there's so much like cleanup and like stuff everywhere. It was like nice to be able to just shut a little travel set and be like, done, cleaned up.
Yep.
Um,
Definitely.
and now, I'm kind of like a watercolor fundamentalist at this moment. It's like my thing.
I love your work. How
Thanks.
did you start doing animals?
Well, I got into the like spirit animal thing. I think it was. Well, I had a friend who mentioned it to me probably 10 years ago, and I was like, oh, that's nice, these spirit animals. That's great. But then I think I really got into it because I was following Pixie on Instagram and really inspired by that. And then for anybody who doesn't know, Pixie Lighthorse, she taught at Ghost Ranch and she's amazing. Did you take her class? Yeah.
No, but I got to talk to her one morning. I was out there drinking coffee and we like hung out for a few. She's awesome.
Yeah. So I think just by seeing her work, and I took some of her Soul Lodge classes. Have you taken any of those?
No.
Yeah, they're really fun. I took the snake one, and it was about just like the symbolism with snake and things ancient cultures have like attached and observed about snakes, but also how that applies to you in your life and your mindfulness. And so, I think I told you this. I have pretty high anxiety in moments. So I'm like, oh, what's an animal that represents calm? So I'll just Google and do some research and get kind of like, oh, I'm going to paint one of those. Yeah, that's how I got into the animals, and I'm still
That's awesome.
pretty into that. So I kind of feel a new something boiling or bubbling below the surface art-wise, but I'm just letting it take its time to develop and kind of still doing the animals because people like them and they're fun. So
That's great.
yeah. Let's see. I guess my last question is how do we find you an Art Bento box online?
So you can go to artbentobox.com if you want to go directly to the Art Bento Box site. It has all the videos on there already, like ready to go on that website. It also has a link to my Etsy shop kind of built in there. So if you want to get any of the quarterly boxes coming up, which are autumn and winter, and like you can get them on my YouTube channel as well. A lot of people like to subscribe and know when new stuff comes out on YouTube. So I have a whole little segment channel on my YouTube for that.
That is genius.
You should be able to also just Google Art Bento Box.
Yeah. I like your little stamp.
I'm on Instagram as well.
I like your little stamp you
So,
put on your box.
you have a box.
Yes. Yeah. Oh. Let's see. I guess you can see that. Sorry, I'm getting confused by the Skyping. I thought this stamp was so cute. Did you design that?
Windows. Thanks. I did design that. Yep. And I got a stamp made. SimonStamps.com is amazing for making stamps. Love them.
I'm taking notes because I want to get a stamp. One of my artist friends, Nikki Cade. Do you know who that is? That was one of her tips for artists for saving money is stop buying stickers and start stamping whatever you send out. And I was like, oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, great. Thanks for talking to me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun to hang out.
Yeah. And I am not sure what else to say to wrap this up. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess I'll cut this part out. We should say like a bye, but I still want to stay on the phone and talk to you for a few minutes after.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say like, you know, you should check out like all of Tori's upcoming stuff, and you can find her on drawriot.com.
Ah,
And it was
yes.
so great to have you by.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for helping me through that bit. Drawriot.com. Are there any other? Okay. Okay. Well, Tori, thanks
I
for.
mean, that'll get you like everywhere.
Yeah. Um. Okay, you ready? Okay, Tori. Well,
Yep.
thanks for talking to me today. And for you guys out there in internet land, you can look Tori up at drawriot.com. See you later.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Bye.
Yeah.